What's going on, guys? Rob from Heroes Avenue, and today I want to talk about a subject that still has a lot of people divided. I want to talk about the Release the Snyder Cut movement, and I don't know if you're a new follower or if you're an old follower, but if you know, me and Darren are big fans of what the DCU was becoming under Zack Snyder. And that's okay if you guys don't agree with us. That's very okay. But if you have been following us for a long time, you guys know we were a big fan of Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman, despite some of its flaws, because they definitely did have some flaws, but we still loved those movies. So when Justice League came out, I think we started this channel a year before Justice League was going to come out, around a year before Justice League was going to come out. So a lot of our early videos was just covering news stories surrounding Justice League, and it went from pure excitement to worry to downright terror as the movie released, and you saw all of the critical panning of the movie and the response by fans, especially when we found out that director Zack Snyder was actually fired from the movie, and he didn't leave on his own accord. Of course, if you do know the timeline of the movie, or the production of the movie, you know that after Batman vs. Superman came out, there was a tremendous backlash, and it looked like WB ignored all that backlash and went right into filming Justice League. And then fast forward to a few months before its release, or about 6 months before its release, 6 or 7 months, we get news that Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide and that he would be stepping away from the movie and bringing Joss Whedon in to take over. So that calmed a lot of fans down. It actually united the fan community in a big way, in a way that you actually don't see too often, which was kind of a beautiful thing, amongst the very sad and tragic situation. But after the movie came out, a lot of news, other news, and revelations came out. And we found out that Zack Snyder actually was fired from the movie, essentially. And the cut that Joss Whedon had given us actually was not the cut that Zack Snyder had intended to put out. Because Zack Snyder did have a cut that he showed, presented to the studio executives, and the studio executives didn't agree with it, and it spirals down from there. Now I'm totally skipping over a huge part of the story. There are definitely tons and tons of markers in the story that are definitely noteworthy of talking to. But if I did, I'd be talking forever about those markers. So the reason I'm talking about that today is because the Snyder Cut movement, it is at an all-time high. With Comic-Con coming up around the corner, we have a lot of, especially thanks to Jay Oliva, who's the storyboard artist who worked with Zack Snyder in his DC movies and with other DC projects, namely the Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2 animated. Thanks to Jay Oliva, who as I said, is a storyboard artist, he revealed that the cut actually does exist. Now, does it exist in its completed form? No, it doesn't. But it does exist. A version of the movie does exist. It still needs some work and some finishing touches, especially with the CGI, possibly the movie score as well. But Zack Snyder does have a working cut that he approves of. And a lot of the past few months has been the Snyder Cut movement has been really, a lot of the fans have been treated like zealots, because a lot of the studio executives and a lot of reporters would actually have you believe that there is no such thing as a Snyder Cut. It does not exist at all. And now the tide is slowly turning, especially with Jay Oliva revealing these things through Twitters and his recent interview with I think it was a Revenge of the Nerds podcast or something like that. I'll link the article in the below so you can see what he has to say. But if I wanted to talk about this because I am a proponent of Zack Snyder. I was a fan of seeing a Justice League movie that is in the same tone of Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. And even if you didn't like those two movies, wouldn't it make sense to see a movie come out that is in line with the same tone and story and direction as those two movies? Because it really felt like the Justice League that we got, while it was enjoyable, it really felt like a glorified animated DC movie to me. And the DC animated movies are incredible, don't get me wrong. I did enjoy the Justice League movie that came out, but I I have watched it twice, and I almost refuse to watch it. I refuse to watch it now because I just keep thinking about what could have been if Zack Snyder had completed his vision of the movie. And we do know that there was a 2-hour mandate issued by the Kevin Sugihara that really hampered the movie's storytelling as well. And it's really disappointing. I'm so disappointed about the situation at hand, especially given that DC owns all of its characters. It has no reason to fail in such a huge way. So that's just a lot of studio meddling that was so unnecessary and very reactionary to fans. And I'm going to talk about fans and the online community in just a second, but I just want to just touch down how much of a fan that I am of Zack Snyder's, and I am in support of the Release the Snyder Cut movement. Now, a lot of speculation is whether or not it's going to be released at San Diego Comic-Con or at least some sort of news or announcement. To be honest, while a lot of the online fan community is excited about this, I'm actually going to be more on the pessimistic side and say we're probably not going to get anything because what have we gotten from Warner Brothers recently that has shown us to believe otherwise? Not really anything. So while I am in support of the Snyder Cut movement, and I am with you guys all and hoping that it is going to come out, I am very doubtful that it is going to come out, but if it does, man, if it does, I am going to be the first one to either purchase a ticket to it or purchase the direct link to it, whatever I got to do to watch it, because I am still super interested about Zack Snyder's vision. Now, I know a lot of the fan community may not be. They may be ready to move on to DC's future projects. I'm excited about those too, but I still want to see Zack Snyder's work. With that being said, I do want to talk about this online fan community that has seemed to thwart a lot, or is seemingly going to be thwarting a lot of talented directors to the superhero genre. And the reason I'm talking about this is because Rian Johnson, a director of The Last Jedi, and Looper, and Brick, I believe it was Brick, can't remember, but yeah, if it was a great movie. Rian Johnson, I was a big fan of The Last Jedi. If you weren't, that's okay. Everyone has their own opinion. But what I want to talk about is the online backlash. You know, a lot of the Release the Snyder Cut fans have been grouped into the same group as these people who really want to remake The Last Jedi. They say they have the funds to remake it. I don't think they actually do, but they are causing quite a stir on social media, online, and really are pushing for The Last Jedi to be remade. Now, that's just a bunch of whiny fans who really are kind of delusional. There's no way that The Last Jedi is going to get remade, whether you liked it or not. But I just don't want that group to be associated with the Release the Snyder Cut fans, because this group of fans actually have some merit behind what they're fighting for. They're fighting for a cut that Zack Snyder has essentially completed. He completed all principal photography according to Jay Oliver. So let's not confuse those two groups. But I could definitely see how that could happen, because the online community is so incredibly vicious now that it's going to be really hard to get these named talented directors to come on board. So the reason I'm saying that is because James Mangold really recently stated, I'm not quoting him exactly now, but he said that this toxic online fandom is going to give rise to subpar directors directing all these movies, because they're just going to give the fans exactly what they want and not take bold steps in new directions or anything like that. And that's something I don't want to see. I love when directors take bold steps and adapt things in their own way, because if you want just a rehash of the comic book, just go read the comic book. That's what they're there for. Those are always going to be there for us, but I want to see things work cinematically, and I want to see talented directors on our side. So it's really quite sad. I think Christopher McQuarrie got into an exchange on Twitter. I think he was defending Rian Johnson, if I remember reading it correctly. He was defending Rian Johnson, and a bunch of fans started hopping on the conversation, attacking Rian Johnson and tagging Christopher McQuarrie. And Christopher McQuarrie said, who wanted to jump into the Star Wars universe, said that, you know, after seeing all of this tonight, I think I'm good off the Star Wars universe. I'm okay off directing that. And he was also a favorite to direct the Superman Man of Steel 2 movie. And, you know, obviously that hasn't been announced yet, but a lot of people were talking about Christopher McQuarrie directing that movie because he's working with Henry Cavill in the next Mission Impossible movie, and he stated in one interview that he's just, if Henry Cavill asked him, he'd be ready to direct that movie as well. And, you know, why wouldn't you want someone that talented to be on board? And even if you did, if you are one of those fans who's acting in a toxic manner, attacking directors, attacking actresses for their race, skin color, or any of those other out of pocket reasons, then you're part of this toxicity of fans that are going to scare off the talent from these genre movies. So that's why I'm talking about that. You know, that's really some upsetting news to me. I'm hoping Comic-Con is, well, I know it in my heart that Comic-Con is going to excite all of the DC fans out there, because obviously we got Aquaman coming up at the end of this year. Everything is pointing in a good direction with James Wan leading the way. All the images that we've seen so far look incredible. Super excited about that. Then we get Shazam. Shazam looks like a new type of movie that we haven't seen in the DC universe. Definitely a more lighthearted movie, and definitely probably more kid-friendly than the other DC movies. But it's going to be something that's new and fresh, something that hasn't been done in any other superhero movie. It's a very unique story, an opportunity to kind of shift the momentum and perception in the community and amongst fans. So I'm super excited for Shazam, and I think David F. Sandberg teases that he is going to have some footage ready for us. He teased on Twitter that he might have some footage ready for us at San Diego Comic-Con. And then, of course, Wonder Woman 84, or Wonder Woman 1984, definitely looking for some sort of reveal of the villain, the cheetah, or at least some sort of still images, or even possibly footage with Gal Gadot and Kristen Wiig starring as Cheetah. So I'm super excited for the direction of the DC Universe. I do hope, even though it may feel like some people that it's stepping back and it's stepping backwards and looking backwards, I do think a lot of the fans are still interested in seeing the Zack Snyder cut of the movie. Even fans that were heavily critical of Batman vs. Superman or Man of Steel, I think there's a lot of fans who watched those movies and were critical that still want to see where Zack Snyder would have taken the movies, because, you know, we're getting images from Zack Snyder on Vero. We're getting clips. Recently there was a Cyborg clip, an extended Cyborg clip, where he kind of gets possessed after touching the mother box. A lot of the speculation was that he saw Darkseid in that clip. And will we ever find out? Who knows? Only Warner Brothers knows the answer to that. So that's me kind of rambling on about the Snyder Cut, the release the Snyder Cut movement. I am in full support of it. And if you've been following online at all, you probably have seen a lot of videos about a lot of DC fans talking about this movement, and I haven't talked about it much lately because I am very doubtful it's going to come out. But, you know, with all the momentum it's been gaining, hey, I thought I'd throw my 2 cents in. Maybe I'll make some more videos about it if you guys want to hear it. But I hope you guys are having a great summer so far. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys want to see a Snyder Cut still this far out from the Justice League? Let me know in the comments below. Please give this video a like if you can. Subscribe if you haven't already. And also follow us on Instagram at Heroes Avenue if you haven't already. This is Rob. Catch you guys later. Peace.